Hey everyone, Jason here, digital marketing consultant, and in this YouTube ads guide, you're going to learn how to use in-stream ads to drive traffic off of YouTube, whether you're trying to grow your email list with lead generation or actually make some sales for your product or service. So timestamps below, along with some other deeper dive videos that go into other types of YouTube ads campaigns that you can create. So when it comes to in-stream ads, we're specifically going to be talking about the skippable ads that show up in front of other videos or sometimes in the middle of other videos. So this is where someone has 5 seconds where they have to watch your ad, and then after that 5 seconds, they're able to skip. And so that's what we're going to focus on here. None of the other ad types that show up during someone watching a video or the ones that show up in search or suggested. So before we dive into the interface here is a quick rundown of the campaign that we're going to be building. For time purposes, we're just going to create one ad and one ad group, and then you'll be able to duplicate that process as much as you need to for your other ad groups. So at the campaign level, we're going to choose what the country is going to be, the inventory type, our daily budget. The ad group level, think of the ad group level as different groups of people that you can target. And so it's very important that we have one targeting type per ad group, and then of course we have our ads at the bottom, and I'll get more into that in a little bit here. And when it comes to the number of ad groups you can have, I recommend 7 or less. So that is 7 targeting options or less per ad group. And with that introduction out of the way, let's go ahead and create our campaign. So I'm going to assume that you already have a Google Ads account. If you don't, you just have to go search Google Ads account, and you can set one up for free. And we're going to start off with the campaign structure here. So we're going to start at the very top. So I'm inside a Google Ads account, and all you need to do is navigate to create new campaign. If you're in your campaigns view, then you just click that big blue plus button. I should say circle with the plus sign in it, and then we'll go ahead and create a new campaign. You're going to create a campaign without a goal. It's very important that anytime you do anything in Google Ads, you always choose the option where they don't restrict you, because all of these other ones, they're going to automatically put settings in there for you, and it can actually harm your performance in the future. So we'll go ahead and click on create a campaign without guidance here. And then we'll go ahead and click on video because we want to make video ads, right? So we'll go ahead and click on video, and then we'll do a custom video campaign. You do not need to click on any of these other ones for in-stream ads. We want skippable in-stream ads, so that's what we're going to do. We'll go ahead and click on that, and then we can click on continue here, and we'll give our campaign a name. I do recommend saying in-stream or discovery, just so you know which campaign is which, because you never want to have both in the same campaign. And then for our campaign budget, we're going to go ahead and change it to daily. I recommend starting anywhere from $2.50 up to $5 a day. You're going to get a lot of impressions and a lot of views very, very quickly. So unless you're checking this every other day, go ahead and make sure that it's low, and you can always spend more money in the future, right? If something's working really well. Rather look at a campaign and say, I wish I spent more money because I was working so well, as opposed to, wow, I wish I didn't spend so much money. It's not working all that great, right? And then for our start date, let's just say we're doing this way in the future. And I recommend starting either on a Monday or a Thursday. So whenever you're going to review your campaigns, and then go ahead and make sure the date is set for 2 weeks out. So this ensures, so we'll go ahead and set our end date here. I was talking ahead of myself. And this ensures the campaign only runs for 2 weeks. Why do we want to do that? Because Google will keep spending our money till the end of time. So, and no, there's no refunds where you call Google up and say, I forgot to turn on my campaign. They really don't care. So make sure you always put an end date here until you know for a fact that you want it to go for the rest of time. So let's go ahead and come down here. We're going to enter another location. Now, this is something that I think a lot of people get confused with. And when it comes to adding locations, go ahead and click add in bulk here. And then go ahead and paste in the 3 to 5 countries that you want your ads to show in. I actually no longer recommend going province by province or state by state in this instance, just because we found that the costs start to get a little higher. And for your first couple of campaigns, you don't actually need to do that much segmentation. You'll quickly find which countries are working, and then you can go ahead and create a separate campaign for that specific country. So in this particular instance, I'm just going to target some English-speaking countries. So I'll hop on over to my Google Ads tool, which we use for Google Ads, but you can go ahead and just choose whatever countries you want. You type in 3 to 5. So I'll go ahead and copy these and paste them in here, and then I'll go ahead and click on search. and then we can click on target all. So when I click on target all, that's going to make sure that our campaigns only show, or our ads only show in these particular countries. And as data comes in, we'll be able to see the views and impressions, click-through rates and conversions and all that fun stuff on a country by country basis. So we might find that maybe Australia and New Zealand do really well for this ad, and then let's say the United Kingdom and United States really stink. So we could just turn off those countries and let the ad keep running with the ones that are working. So we'll go ahead and click on save here, and then we'll scroll down to all languages. I typically just leave this alone. If it's really important that you target a very specific language in your particular country targeting, then go ahead and add that. For us, we just normally leave it alone. And then we'll come down here to expanded inventory instead of standard. So standard is going to be what's recommended and automatically clicked. And all this is doing is giving the larger advertisers the ability to have more control over where their ads show up, right? So big brands, I won't name any, but big brands really like it when their ads only show up on what they consider clean content. And so whatever clean content is for them probably isn't clean content for you. And so all that means is it's not like your ads are going to show up on videos that are terrible, showing horrific things. It's just your ads are going to be able to show up on videos that scare the big brands. And personally, as a small business owner and fellow entrepreneur, I really don't care what my ideal customer or viewers are watching. If they choose to watch that video or they choose to watch that type of content, I don't care. I'm going to show the ad, and you're going to have a much lower cost per click. Now, if you're really concerned about your ad showing up in terms on front of a particular type of content on YouTube, then by all means, go ahead and choose one of these other ones. It's completely up to you, although I recommend not judging your viewers for what they decide to watch, right? Because they decided to click on the video. It's not like you're forcing them to watch the content. I'll get off that soapbox. Anyway, let's go ahead, switch it to expanded inventory, and then we'll come down to excluded types and labels, and we'll go ahead and exclude embedded YouTube videos, and then I'm going to uncheck content not yet labeled. And so I just want our ads to be able to show up anywhere our ideal viewer is watching. And so again, checking these boxes is going to give us opportunities to show up on ads that the bigger brands who pay a lot of money are scared to show up on, which will of course lower our costs. So let's go ahead and jump on down here. We can click on additional settings. And for now, I'm just going to go ahead and leave this alone. The only thing I want to point out is number one, after your first couple of campaigns, go ahead and come in here and start unchecking TV screens, because obviously when someone's watching an ad on a TV, they can't actually click off of it. However, it's just an unnecessary restriction with your first couple of campaigns because you're just trying to collect data. And then number two, with ad schedule, this only matters if in fact you need people to be taking action on your website within a specific time frame. Otherwise, just go ahead and leave this alone for now. So we'll go ahead and skip ad group creation, and we'll skip ad group creation. Yes, we want to skip. And then we'll go ahead and create our campaign. So our campaign is now created, and we can continue to the campaign overview. So when I click continue, our campaign is created and it's live, or not live, it's scheduled, but it's live and it's scheduled, ready to go. I made the same mistake twice, but of course it's not going to do anything because we have no ads, and more importantly, we have no targeting or ad groups telling Google where the heck we want, how we want to target people, or who the heck we want to show our ads to. So now that we've completed the top of this diagram, we're ready to create our ad group. So I'm going to go through one ad group here, and then of course you can duplicate this process moving forward with your other 2 to 6 ad groups, because you're going to have a total of 7 or less. So let's go ahead and jump back into the interface here, and we will click on this plus button to create our ad group. The ad group is going to be named after the campaign for some strange reason. So go ahead and just change it to whatever the targeting option is. So remember, we're going to have one audience targeting here. Of course, there's one asterisk here, but we'll get to that in a moment. So we'll go ahead and enter our campaign name, in-market ads and marketing. Now I'm cheating a little bit because I know exactly what in-market audience I'm going to select, but here you probably just go ahead and put in-market and then leave it blank until you go through this process. So there are 2 things before we get into the actual audience. So number one, you have this option called demographics, where you can filter by age, gender, parental status, household income. If any of these you think apply to your particular product or service, do this for your second ad group. So this first one, only choose one audience. And then the second ad group, you can choose a demographic and a audience option. And that's really the only instance where you're going to select two different things, is if you're using demographics plus an audience, right? And after that, then it should always only be one audience per ad group. So we'll go ahead and click on the down arrow. All right, there's an asterisk to that too. There's always an asterisk. It's okay, we'll get to that. And then we'll go ahead and click on browse. And so you can see we can go by detailed demographics, affinity, in-market, life events, which is what I recommend. And then we have remarketing audiences, which if you're interested in that, I'll link up in the cards in the description to a full-blown YouTube tutorial that goes through remarketing. And then of course, at the very bottom, we have custom audiences. And custom audiences, what those allow you to do is those allow you to take an in-market and a life event and combine them together and say, they have to be in this in-market audience and they have to have this life event. And so that's the other asterisk. So you might go through these in-market options. I'll just go ahead in-market, and then you can go through all these options, and then you can also look at the life events. And you might see, okay, well, someone just moved and they're in the in-market of kitchen sinks, which is, I don't think there's a kitchen sink in market, but whatever, just for example purposes. So you could say, I want people who are interested in kitchen sinks who just moved, right? And so that's what that combined audience is for, because you can use the and. When you go through this list and you check different things, it's or. So Google will say apparel and accessories, or arts and crafts, or autos and vehicles. And of course you don't want or, you want to actually really control what you are targeting. Hopefully that made sense. Okay, let's go ahead and scroll down here. I'm going to go ahead and select advertising and marketing services. And so I'm selecting one per ad group, right? Because I'm not using a combined audience where I'm forcing Google to add two things together. So because I'm only using one, I'll go ahead and get out of this. And then our minimum cost per view bid is going to be 10 cents. Now, it's very likely that, depending upon your niche or industry, you'll run ads for a week and you'll get like 10 views, right? And so if that happens, you're going to have to go ahead and raise your bid from 10 cents to 20 cents or all the way up to 30 cents in some cases. But let's go ahead and start at 10, see what we get. Let the data come in and tell us. There's no reason to start at 30 cents and then work your way down. You might as well start at 10 cents and work your way up. So let's go ahead and click on skip ad creation, which is advanced because we'll get to creating the ad. And then I'm going to select skippable in-stream ad. You cannot undo this, right? So you don't have in-stream ads and discovery ads in the same ad group here. And I almost said campaign, but don't put them in the same campaign either. So we'll go ahead and select skippable in-stream ad, and then we will save the format. And now we can save the ad group. So we have our campaign, we have our one ad group. And if we hop back over to our diagram, what I'd recommend doing is going through this process anywhere from 3 or 2, so a minimum of 3 ad groups, to 6 more times. So 3 to 7 ad groups. And of course you can choose other in-market audiences, or you can go through the demographics and say, I only want 25 to 45-year-olds and then a in-market audience. Or you could go and click on that combined custom audience option at the bottom, and you can say, I want people who've just moved and are interested in kitchen sinks or tiles or flooring or whatever a contractor might be interested in. So that's what I recommend doing. If you want more guidance on how to set these up and more examples, then go ahead and check out the link in the cards in the description to a much, much longer YouTube tutorial that goes through how to do those combined audiences. So let's go ahead and jump into our ad creation. We are almost done, home stretch here. So that's the last step to making sure our campaign is live and ready to go. So once we go back to the interface, you're actually going to need to click in order to create our new ad. So we'll go ahead and click the plus button here, and then we'll be taken to the screen where we can go ahead and create our video ad. So all you need to do is drop in the video URL. You'll upload it to the channel that you want the ad to run on. And of course, when you upload it, go ahead and upload it as unlisted, and make sure you uncheck all the options so no one's notified that the video's been uploaded. You do not want to check private, because if you check private on the video, it's not going to be able to run because then the video's private, right? So make sure it's just unlisted. Okay, let's go ahead. So you can see here we have our options for our URLs, our display URL. We scroll down, we have our call to action and headline. So let's go ahead and go through through this. I'm gonna jump back to the top here and put in the URL of the page we want people to go to when they've clicked the ad. In this particular instance, it's a simple shopping cart page. And then we have our display URL. It needs to be the same domain. So I couldn't say actmarketing.io in the final URL and then say actmarketing.com in the display URL, or say actfunnel.io in the display URL. It has to be the same domain, but you can see here, this is a subdomain and it's totally fine. Google understands that we like making subdomains. If that didn't make any sense and you only have one website, one domain, then you're good to go. You don't even have to worry about it. So let's go ahead and then add a call to action and a headline. So if you see over here, we have Google Ads as the headline and then learn more as the call to action. You're really, really limited on characters. So just saying something like download or learn more or click here. I don't recommend being really, really fancy here. Just make it very clear that they should go ahead and click the ad. So with that, we can go ahead and scroll down and click on save. Oh, one more thing. Go ahead and give your ad a name. You can see we have a ridiculously OCD naming convention. That's just because I'm OCD. But just go ahead and name your ads. I recommend whatever naming convention you do, then do -H1, T1 for headline 1, thumbnail 1. Even though this is a in-stream ad, you might wind up running an in-stream ad as a discovery ad someday. So you want to make sure that you have a naming convention for split testing your headlines and your thumbnails. So we'll go ahead and click on save ad here. And now our ad is on our ad group. Of course, if we wanted to add more ads, we can go and click the plus button. I wouldn't add more than 3 ads here because Google is going to automatically optimize. You can't tell Google, hey, I want ad 1 and ad 2, and I want you to split the traffic so I can figure out which one's working the best. Not going to happen with YouTube ads. What Google's going to do is they're going to look at ad 1, they're going to look at ad 2, and then they're going to say, you know what? We've sent 10 views to both of these videos, and we think this one's going to do better. So we're going to put the rest of the budget for the rest of time to this one video, which is super frustrating because then you're like, well, this video only got 10 views and you gave this video 15,000. Like, why would you do that? Well, Google thinks that this video would have been better. So just go ahead and make sure that you don't add a lot of videos here. 1 to 3 is plenty. And if you really, really need to know if one video ad is better than another video ad, then you just have to make 2 campaigns, one for each of those video ads, which I know is silly, but that's just the way it works with YouTube ads. Maybe one day they'll give us more options. So that's all there is to it, to creating your campaign. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comment section below. We do our best to read and reply to every single one. Hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dive marketing and advertising tutorials just like this one. And until the next, keep building the business you love.